Hi everyone and welcome back. You're watching The Money Show on ET now. It's time for our Spend with TMS segment. So if you guys have been watching ET now, there have been quite a few restrictions that have been imposed, curbs of sorts that have been imposed as fresh as today. There have been announcements that have come in from the MHA. They're very categorically stating that, look, while states, of course, will take their individual decisions for containment zones, it has to be very strict. They've come out with some general guidelines as well with respect to how many people can sort of come in a movie theater and other, common places. Would this affect your travel plans? I know, and I've been seeing all over social media, many of you guys have traveled to Goa recently, one of India's most popular travel hotspots. But now all the more during these last couple of months, Goa has become one of the easiest destinations to travel to. But what are the other options? Has Goa as well brought about any such restrictions or curbs? Let's take stock of what are the spots, places of visit, tourist sites, states where Indians can still travel even after all of these restrictions. I have with me Sankalp Agarwal, the co-founder of TravelTriangle.com. Sankalp, always a pleasure having you with us on ET now. So I don't know if you've had a chance to go through the latest from the Ministry of Home Affairs. It was just released about an hour ago. But largely, we know for a fact that Delhi, now there have been strict curbs put in place. Gujarat is another state. Rajasthan as well, perhaps, is another state. And at least specifically Gujarat, Rajasthan, these do have a lot of places of interest, in terms of tourist spots. Delhi usually is considered to be a pit stop to go somewhere else, perhaps somewhere up north. What's the current status? What are your clients asking you? Can we really still go visit these places, or is it best advised not to do so when you are in the midst of a curfew of sorts?
Sure. So, Mubina, I just had a cursory look through the guidelines, and I think overall the direction is to have a targeted approach to containment zones, right? That should be very strict. That's the direction, right? It's more like, that where the problem is, you solve it at that point of time rather than the complete state in itself. So that's a good direction to begin with. Now, specifically, I think Indians are traveling everywhere. So for the trips which would be happening right now, they would have almost booked it a month or a month and a half before, right? Right now, because people plan in advance, right? So the best thing for them is to look out for state-wise advisory on what are the kind of the restrictions which are imposed, right? The restrictions are in certain containment zones, or the restrictions are like section 144 or something like that, right? Which is very different as per the state. So they should look for the advisory. They should get tested, and then they should carry a report with them if possible, so that they are abiding by most of the guidelines. And I think at no places the public spots have been closed. The number of people or the public gathering, the size of them are being reduced, right? So no public spots have been closed at this point of time. And at this point of time, I think Indians are traveling to almost everywhere. And they have learned to live with Corona, even in travel, just like they have learned to live with Corona in any of the items they do in their regular lifestyle.
Any restrictions on Goa? Because Sankalp, not only has this been for Diwali one of the most popular destinations in India, but I imagine for the upcoming short vacations of Christmas and New Year's, this will be the most popular destination to go to.
Sure. So beginning September, Goa has lifted most of their travel restrictions, for domestic and international visitors, including no testing for Indian nationals. On a recency point of view, casinos and other leisure facilities like sports activities have announced that they will resume their services to boost travel economy, and basic measures like public facilities, sanitization, wearing masks, social distancing are being followed. All the hotels are doing a lot of hard work. All the cab owners are doing a lot of hard work to make sure that the Goa comes back. So that's the direction at this point of time. And there's nothing new which we know at this point of time, which have been imposed. And the only restriction is on the international travelers, which is that they should carry a negative COVID-19 report while arriving to Goa. So that's the only restriction. But I think Goa is up for tourism. They are prepping up very smartly to prep against corona. And from the customers' perspective, who have been coming us and telling us their stories, so they are all very happy at this point of time, because anyways the number of people who are traveling to Goa in this high season, quality season, is lower. So the fun is anyways is much higher. So everyone is enjoying at this point of time in Goa.
Absolutely. In general, Sankalp, when someone is traveling, especially in India, let's keep it to India, let's assume that people have a bit of a more shorter budget. What are the precautions? Do you advise they take a corona test themselves and go over to the airport? What do you advise in terms of documentation they carry so that they're not faced with any problems?
So the first and foremost thing is, if people are going to airport or any other like railways, they should first check out a couple of days before, what are the requirements out there, because these things are dynamic, they are changing for certain states regularly. So they should keep a tab on what's happening with that state if they're traveling inside India, and then they should have appropriate measures which the state have asked them to take, right? And at this point of time, I think everywhere getting a COVID-19 test is way easier because of the PCR tests which are out there. So it's always handy to keep such tests with you. And there are PCR vans everywhere, testing vans everywhere laid by various state governments. So you can easily get that test done. That always helps you out, because you always get out of the question mark whether you have a COVID test or not, whether you're COVID positive or not. That is always helpful. Apart from it, I think there are general things which people should take care of. They should be wearing masks. They should maintain proper social distance, etc. And apart from it, I don't think there is nothing much which is required at this point of time. Just be cautiously positive on how I would say it.
All right, cautiously optimistic. That's what Sankalp recommends all of you can be when you all look to travel this season. Well, Sankalp, we let you go on that note. Always a pleasure having you with us and, sort of guiding our viewers on how they can travel with precautions, with safety, even ahead of this upcoming, ahead of the upcoming Christmas and holiday season. And we'll be sure to catch up with you once again to get in your favorite takes of the upcoming season. On that note, we'll wrap it up. Many thanks for watching today.